Hi, everyone. This is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Friday, everybody. Today, we're going to take a look at Mercury's continued retrograde as it is now heading into some more conjunctions. It's going to station, turn direct. So I feel like it's a good time to tease out the implications of the rest of this Mercury retrograde cycle. So we'll do that today. And this follows on yesterday's talk on, or I guess it was 2 days ago now, on the new moon in Aquarius. So you could actually take what we're doing today and continue to apply it to that video in terms of the area of your chart that's being affected. You could sort of apply today's talk to that same area of your birth chart. So, all right, let me put up the real time clock and I just want to give you a picture of what's going on. So, first of all, what I want to do is I've just eliminated the outer planets. Let me just eliminate. I'm going to get rid of part of fortune in the nodes too, just to really simplify the view. By the way, I think the last time we had such a major lineup of the traditional 7 planets in Aquarius, or I know one of the times was like 1962. So I was just thinking about if you happen to have been born in, I think it was like February of 62, then it's a really interesting moment for you right now. Like if you were an Aquarian born in 1962, you have something of a return of all of the planets in your natal chart to the same location, minus Mars. But that's a pretty profound synchronicity. So I was just curious if there are any February 62. Actually, let me just show you on the clock really quick. You guys will find this interesting, I think. So watch, if we go back, let's just go back all the way to 62. You know what? I probably could have done this a little easier way, but I didn't. So here we are. All right, there it is. You can see it. See here we are. We're in February of 1962. See, all of the planets are in Aquarius like that. And if you back this up, probably like I'm gonna say what a couple, almost like a week. Yeah, here you go. Here's where they were all together. Look at that. Look at that massive stellium. So if you were born under this stellium in February of 1962, I really want to hear your story. Like what's happening in your life right now? Because it seems really unique to me that they're all sort of back in the exact same location as your birth, minus Mars again, but still. All right, anyway, back to today. So here's the thing that's happening. We've got Mercury retrograding away from the sun, now separating by about 9 degrees, which means Mercury, once it gets to about 15 degrees, Mercury is going to appear as the morning star. And remember, when it appears as the morning star, it's announcing something. Mercury was invisible, and then suddenly Mercury comes forth. So one of the things that you're going to see, actually, let's write a few things down. So number one thing that you will see is the announcement of something new, or let's call it the appearance of something new. Now, that might sound, I know for people who probably are newer to astrology, it sounds like we're always talking about two things, beginnings and endings. And that's because that's really the nature of how we experience time. There's sort of a beginning and a middle and end to all things. But it's really important to notice when a new thing is going to happen and then where, in what area of life it's going to happen, because it's essentially a little bit like, it can feel sometimes like Groundhog's Day in our life. We're kind of doing the same things in the same areas of life all the time. One of the ways that you can tell that something new is going to happen is when a new moon happens. But the thing about a new moon is that a new moon is a seed that's being planted, the results of which often do not come right away. So you have to be watching for things on a pretty subtle plane to notice what's happening at a new moon and what the trajectory of that movement is. You have to almost have a meditation practice to be able to see what's starting to take shape. Sometimes it's very obvious, of course, but when Mercury appears suddenly, it has much more of, I always say it's like the trumpeter at dawn. It has much more the feeling of a proclamation, a declaration, an announcement, an appearance in light, right? So it's like coming forth. Now, as this new thing is announcing itself, remember that it's still in retrograde, which means there could be the feeling of something that has been in process, like hearing back from someone that you've been waiting on an answer for. Maybe you applied for a loan, or you sent a text to someone asking them a question, and you're, sitting on pins and needles waiting for the answer. That sudden, it's that I got it in the mail. I got my refund check, or the person wrote me back, or I heard back and I got the loan. Or sometimes I got an answer and it was in the negative. Either way, it's the appearance, the announcement of something new. let's call it a proclamation or declaration. And I'm not sure what the subtle difference is between a proclamation or a declaration, but they both work. Both words seem to work to me. Anyway, so Mercury's doing that. Now, as Mercury is going to do that, let's just give you the exact dates here. So this is going to happen when they get to about 15 degrees apart, right? So as that's happening, Mercury is passing over a conjunction with Venus and Jupiter. So that's happening, that's happening very shortly. If I just click this forward one day to February 13th, you're going to see Mercury within the next 24 hours is passing over Venus. One more day to the 14th, it will pass over Jupiter on the 14th, right? And then you're going to, so by the 15th, by Monday, it will have passed over both planets and is now just about ready to make an appearance. So I just want you to imagine that Mercury is coming out of the underworld, right? Ready to declare or proclaim something. And as Mercury is coming out of the underworld, let's say on the stairway up out of Hades, there's just a couple of treasure chests sitting there. One is Venus, the goddess of good fortune. In fact, the fifth house that Venus was associated with, the place of good fortune for Indian astrologers, is associated with the good things that you bring with you from previous lifetimes, like the good karma that you're ready to inherit from previous lifetimes. And it will come to fruit in time. And then, Western tradition feels pretty much the same way about the fifth house. In the modern tradition, when we say, the fifth house is the house of creativity, not really. It's like, not to burst anyone's bubble, but creativity is far too broad a topic to belong to just one house. The fifth house has to do with joy and happiness and the good karma that comes in time, which is why it's one of several houses associated with children that will be born to you that will be fortunate in nature. So, but at any rate, Venus is related to the same kinds of topics, good fortune, the things that just accrue and kind of drop into your lap from heaven, so to speak. So as Mercury is coming out of the underworld, boom, hits Venus and then hits Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is a little different. Jupiter was associated with the 11th house in the place of good spirit, it has more to do with those people who are powerful influences or allies, benefactors, resources, whether it's wisdom or knowledge or money or power or fame that other people have that will somehow come to benefit or influence you or be supportive of you. And in that sense, Jupiter, like the triplicities, by the way, Jupiter is associated with the trine. And the trine connects all three signs of the same elements. And so Jupiter is also sort of broadly associated with the triplicity rulerships. And the triplicities are understood as like larger resources within communities or groups that are sort of there to help you. So Jupiter has this association with sort of larger or broader social connections or influences and so forth that might benefit you somehow. All right, so you're hitting 2 treasure chests on the way out of the underworld right now if you're Mercury, and then you're going to make this morning star appearance, declaration, pronouncement, etc. You're still in Saturn's sign, and you still have a whole sign square to Mars with a lot of planets hitting Mars right now through Antisha and so forth, contra Antisha, so forth, that we talked about earlier this week. But those things should be overcome. So in other words, all in all, whatever Mercury is going to announce looks pretty good to me from where I'm standing. So I like the idea of someone or something appearing in our lives right now and being the bearer of good news or blessings, or of things sort of falling into place naturally without what feels like a lot of effort. Now, you have to apply that to the Aquarian house in your chart, wherever that might be. But that's kind of the next phase for, say, the next 4 or 5 days. So I thought it would be a good thing to talk about going into the weekend, and to request that all of you share your stories in the chat box here and tell me how you see Mercury appearing and saying something or showing up with some kind of news, and how do you see the benefics as being wrapped up in that. So it's a good learning moment. Moments like these are really interesting because you have to pay, like I said, I always say this, you have to pay attention to just the little details, like, okay, Mercury's appearing, and as it does so, it hits a bunch of benefics. that sequence, that's what to watch for in the next few days. And then Mercury turns direct. And as Mercury turns direct, let me pull the date up for that really quick. So let's see, Mercury is going to be direct on, what is it? That starts stationing on the 20th, and by the 21st, 22nd is turning direct again. So, we've got about another 10 days before Mercury is going to really start moving forward again. At which point, then Mercury is going to hustle forward. And I'm really interested to see what happens around March 4th, because around that time, Mercury, through its direct motion, will contact Jupiter again, now totally flaming as the morning star. And Jupiter's also becoming the morning star right now. So Saturn is too. So if you got up really early before dawn, you should be able to see Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter in the sky in the east. That trifecta should bring something very substantive along the lines of wisdom, knowledge, like anything that you're trying to put for, like it would be the perfect thing to see. I anticipate a lot of this. Someone's going back to school. And I've told you guys this too, because Aquarius is in my own 10th house. Be probably getting close by that time to announcing the details of the new course that I'm starting this year. So that's that turn of Mercury is going to be pretty significant, because it's got to go back through Jupiter on the way out. So we'll come back to this later and review all of this again. But anyway, tell me your stories. I'd love to hear them. Love to hear how those that benefic sort of mercurial appearance in your life looks. Not going to be positive for everybody. Everybody has a very different birth chart, and the way that this is interacting in your birth chart can be loud or not so loud at all, and can also be connected to things in your chart that are more or less, easy or difficult or whatever in different areas of life. So there's always that. But I think by and large, in a general way, this looks like a pretty positive Mercury appearance. So last but not least, I have a long story short, I had to revise my reading offerings, and I've been doing that during this Mercury retrograde. So my readings have been closed down except for my little mini express reading. That the new readings and my new sort of schedule for how I'm taking clients and so forth will be up over the weekend. So if you have been, I know a lot of people have been emailing me saying, hey, why can't I get a reading on your site right now? It's because we've been kind of reframing it. So I'll be, if you if you join my newsletter, you'll get an email sort of explaining the changes and updates to how my reading offerings are structured over the weekend, or probably by Monday. And then the other thing to note is that right now I have about a year-long wait. So we can't fill out more than 1 year because of the way that processors work. Like, they won't let people book anything for more than a year out. So we will be filling up January and February of 2022. We'll be filling those dates up first, and then we'll go month by month. So we'll always only be open for exactly one year out at a time. And that's part of why we had to change our system around, because we're just getting flooded. And it's a good problem to have. I love reading for people. So, and we shifted things around too, so that hopefully, I can accommodate more people and structure my follow-ups better and all sorts of stuff. So that's been a work in progress. So stay tuned for a little announcement on that. And I'll let you guys know on YouTube, probably on Monday. I'll remind everybody who's been looking to book a reading that it's open again. So thanks for your patience. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Please stay in touch. Let me know how everything goes. Bye, everyone.